What if God has always picked the ordinary to do the extraordinary? Because of this, why wasn't Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle picked to be the next pope? He is so loved and full of humble virtue. Hello, everyone. My name is Father Michael Thompson, and I'm a Catholic priest from Texas, USA. I've been serving the Lord for more than 30 years. I want to take you on a trip today that isn't about blaming or judging, but about thinking. I, too, am a priest who loves Cardinal Tagle very much. I had hoped that he would wear the white cassock of Peter to represent not only Asia but also the millions of faithful Catholics who see in him a reflection of Christ's kindness. I'm going to tell you 4 real, deep, and maybe even painful reasons why he wasn't chosen as Pope today. To understand why the person the world had hoped for wasn't picked to replace St. Peter through the eyes of faith, not to blame anyone or question God's will. The whole world seemed to hold its breath that day. Millions of people prayed that the next pope would come from Asia. They prayed from Manila to New York and from Africa to Latin America. People often called Luis Antonio Tagle the Francis of the East. He walked among the poor, taught with tears and laughter, and served others in a very real way. Then a white cloud of smoke rose from the church, but it wasn't Tagle. Now, my dear brothers and sisters, I want to take you through 4 unexpected reasons why. I will do this in a kind and honest way. On the surface, the reasons may seem political, but they are really about custom, government, and the mysterious hand of God. Not only will we learn more about one cardinal, I think we'll learn more about the church we all love if we listen with an open heart. Before we start, may I ask how my friends are doing? Have you been praying and reading the Bible every day? Ask God to bless you and your family, and then write the name of your country below. Tell me how many people around the world are hearing this word of faith. Remember to like this video, follow, and turn on the bell so that we can keep walking in faith together every day. Let's start now. The first reason is that European culture still holds the keys. I want to know why Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle, who was so kind, worked so hard for the poor, and was liked all over the world, wasn't chosen to be pope. But first, we need to go to a place. A spot without cameras or cheers where choices are made that will affect the Church's future. There, that spot is behind the old walls of the Vatican. One thing hasn't changed when we talk about outreach, evangelism, or the future of Asia, Africa, and Latin America. There is still a lot of power and influence in Europe. This is not a mean thing I say. It sounds like something someone who has been following the Church for decades would say. Ever since St. Peter, most popes have been from Europe, mostly Italy. And that's not a mistake. Because of history, custom, and a system that has grown over more than 2,000 years, it is what it is. The Holy See is a center and a sign. The Vatican is also an unnoticed web of connections, power, and handshakes that were made many years ago, when the current cardinals were young priests in Europe. Tagle is recognized, but he is still an outsider in a system where comfort, language, and a sense of safety often determine who wins. In fact, he does speak Italian. He does live in Rome. His job is in the missions department, yes. But for some senior bishops who are used to the steady rhythm of things and the old ways of running the Vatican, an Asian pope is still strange. Not because Tagle isn't good enough, but because people are still too afraid of change. The worry that someone from the edges with a different point of view or a faster beat could upset the delicate balance that the Church has been carefully keeping for hundreds of years. I once heard a bishop say, the Church needs reform, but not too much that it breaks. That's where the stress is, my friends. Many people were not ready to leave their comfort zone when they saw a man who could change how the Church talks to the world. Second, the chair of Peter needs more than just kindness. It needs to be governed. You all know that I still remember the first time I heard Cardinal Tagle speak at an international mass. He didn't yell. He didn't say anything important. It wasn't like he was reading from a long script. He did nothing but stand there and talk about a poor guy, a child, and a mother who was raising her child by herself. The whole church cried. Because Cardinal Tagle has what it takes to be a real guide. He does more than just talk. He really wants to teach. But, my dear friends, being Pope isn't just teaching. There are more than 1 billion people in the world church, and you have to carry their weight. And it has to do with running the Vatican, which is one of the most complicated organizations in the world. And this is where Cardinal Tagle had to deal with one of his biggest problems. I'm going to tell you something that not many people know. During the year 2022, Cardinal Tagle was in charge of the Church's worldwide aid network, Caritas Internationalis. The kind hand of the Church is Caritas. From war zones to disaster zones to places with a lot of poverty, it gets everywhere. The Vatican then hired an outside audit to look into the group and found major problems with how it was run. From hiring to managing money to making sure there is no corruption, sexual abuse, or fraud, there is no control of any kind. But it was still a bad job of running the government. The Vatican chose to get rid of all of Caritas's leaders. But Cardinal Tagle was still in charge, even though he didn't make all the decisions himself. There was a shadow of that moment following him into the meeting. People today expect everyone to be honest, take responsibility, and be a good leader. Even a small question mark can make people doubt someone's ability to lead Peter. After the meeting, I talked to an African pastor. He told me, I love Cardinal Tagle, but I don't think he could handle a crisis at the Vatican the way he helps a poor man in Manila. The truth was hard to hear, but it was important to hear. So, you see, brothers and sisters, a pope needs to know how to do more than just wash feet. He also needs to know how to clean the house sometimes. Right now, if you're still hearing and this message moves you, please say, yes, or, amen, below or leave a prayer for Cardinal Tagle. Kindly remember to register and enable the alarm bell so that we can keep walking together every day. Third, the power of impression and the shadow of scandal can become a burden when image is at stake. Dear brothers and sisters, I often tell the people who come to my church that silence can guard the truth, but that an image lives on in the minds of many. Cardinal Tagle is a good man who is humble, easy to talk to, loves the poor, and is brave enough to accept people who have been left out for a long time, like LGBTQ people, divorcees, and people who aren't sure about their faith. Youths have shared a mass film for the first time just because he was there. Because there was something special about his voice that made them realize the church was finally paying attention. But in a world where fear and the media make people so separated, even that beautiful picture can be too much to bear. Some cardinals thought Tagle might be too open, they thought his kindness could be confused for giving in, and they thought his mercy might blur the lines between what was right and wrong. And then there was the Caritas issue in 2022, which we talked about in the last chapter. Even though no one ever accused or blamed him, his name was still in headlines, news feeds, and Vatican comments all over the world. And I have to tell you the truth, in a caucus, telling the truth doesn't always win. This is the most important thing. How do they feel when they hear your name? There was a small doubt, a raised eyebrow, and a muttered worry. Can he really help the church get through this? That's all it takes to sometimes change the outcome of a vote. So, the Vatican isn't just a holy place of worship anymore. Not only that, but the heart is hurt by old wounds like abuse, financial scandals, and too much quiet. Now that the church is trying to rebuild trust, even a small problem from a candidate's past may seem too big of a risk. After a conclave, I remember a senior bishop saying, "We need someone strong, but no one should bring a shadow with them." That hurt my heart because the shadow isn't always the one you made. It's the one that life gives you. Fourth reason, he wasn't bad enough. It's because no one helped him. Friends and family, what do people outside of the church think of when they think about how the Pope is chosen? A choice made from heaven, prayer, and the direction of the Holy Spirit. Those things are real, too. But I can tell you something else because I am a priest and have seen 4 Pope conclaves in my life. Behind the holy, there are also many human truths. The meeting is more than just a place to pray and be quiet. There are also relationships that go back years, ties that aren't said out loud, and strategic handshakes that never make the news. And here, Cardinal Tagle, who was liked by many, was missing one important thing: a group of loyal voters who were ready to fight for him. It's an honor to say this. Everyone loved Cardinal Tagle, but their love wasn't very deep. He cared about people and spoke up for the poor. He was like a guardian for the whole world. But Tagle was the only one in the conclave, where votes are cast over dinner talks and decades of shared service. He wasn't a part of any single group. He wasn't part of the powerful Italian group. There was no unity even among the cardinals from Asia, Africa, and Latin America. I remember that a longtime Vatican reporter once said, "Tagle has millions of fans outside the crypt chapel, but not 30 people who will vote for him inside it." Dear friends, that can be fatal in a caucus. He didn't run for office. He didn't talk things out. Because that's not who he is. He didn't go from table to table asking for favors. He didn't come to get a title, he came to serve. Sad to say, though, pure humility is often mistaken for weakness during an election. So, even though he was liked and admired, he didn't have the political power to stay in the running until the end. Now we've talked about 4 deep and sometimes painful reasons why Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle, who was known as the Francis of Asia, was not chosen as Pope. It wasn't because he didn't believe. That wasn't because he didn't care. It was because the Church is still torn between custom and change, between what the public likes and what's going on behind closed doors. Tagle walked into the coven as a humble son of God, and he left with the same spirit. There is no anger or regret, just a quiet promise to keep helping. To my dear brothers and sisters, being chosen or not isn't the most important thing to God. It's important that we stay true to what He has asked us to do. Cardinal Tagle is still on that task. He is still walking to forgotten places and washing the hurt's feet. And just maybe, that's the job God gave him as Pope. Someone who is Pope but doesn't have a chair or a crown. Someone who has the heart of Jesus. If the word today made you feel something, please say a prayer in the space below. Just a few words, like, "Lord, use your light to protect your church." Or, "Grant those who lead us wisdom and humility." If you want to stay with me on this trip of faith, click subscribe, and make sure the bell is on so we can meet again on the holy road ahead. Send this video to someone you care about. You never know, they might be looking for some light, some truth, or some hope. God bless you, and may He bless the church we love so much.